What is good and what is evil? Is there really such a thing as good and evil? Good and evil is subject to perception. You know what I'm saying? Because some things that are good, some people would consider that's not good. Some things that are evil, some people would consider that's not evil. You know, for example, abortion. Some people may think abortion is evil. Some people may say abortion is good because you know that mother shouldn't be forced to have a baby. You know, some people say you're killing a child. Some people say, well, you're bringing a child into an evil world. You're not you're not hurting that child. You're keeping that child from suffering into an evil world. You know what I'm saying? So there's all types of perceptions. So there's really, if you really think about it, there's no good or evil. There's not really good and evil. There's just negative and positive. There's just energy. And some forms of energy are chaotic and some forms of energy are peaceful. But they both are needed. You know. So that goes back to this man right here, Dr. Monroe. Now I made a video because I was contemplating, and I made a video about energy, how energy eats. You know, seems like as I observe nature, I see how energy just eats energy, because essentially we are just energy. You break our bodies down, they're atoms. You break the atoms down, it's energy. Electrical energy. If you zoom in further into an atom, you got the electrons and the protons and neutrons, electrons revolving around the nucleus, and the protons and neutrons are representing as electricity. So it's essentially we're just electrical energy, right? We're all just energy. And then I was watching nature, and I was observing how nature, you know, I was just observing the nature of reality. How the lion, for an example, I like watching lions, and how the lion eats the buffalo. Well, if the lion and the buffalo is essentially just energy, you see one part of energy is absorbing another part of energy. The lion is absorbing the buffalo, eating the buffalo. Energy's eating. One part of energy is eating another energy. Absorbing. I say absorbing energy. And then I started to think, hell, everything's eating, we all are eating each other. We all are absorbing each other. The sunlight, the plants absorbs the rays from the sun. We eat plants. We absorb energy. We eat animals. Animals eat grass. Animals absorbing energy from the grass. The grass is eating the rays, energy from the sun. So in all of nature, it's just energy eating energy. And then that got me to thinking about, I remember something about Robert Monroe talks about LOOSH, about the earth, the world is a loose form, and LOOSH is just another word for energy. And he talks about, you can look it up, if you're into astral projection and all that. He actually astral projected and he talked to a spiritual being, and the spiritual being told him that the earth is a loose form, is an energy form for higher entities that feed off our energy. Like we feed off animals, they feed off us. They eat our energy. They absorb our energy, our emotional energy. You know, happy, sad, negative, and a positive. So you have a part of the, let's say, the dark energies feed off our negative emotions, and you have the light energies that feed off our positive emotions. And these are deities. And it is stated that this is the deity from the Bible, the God from the Bible. As some would say, that is feeding off our energy. And maybe the God say he's in the Bible. God says he creates good and evil. So that means God could be doesn't have to mean just one individual. God could be plural, meaning a bunch of deities. And it could be, like I said, the light and the negative, positive and the negative. Positive side could be feeding off our positive energy, could be feeding off our emotions that make us happy. Negative energy could be feeding off our emotions that make us angry. You know, and these positive and negative could represent deities, could represent higher spiritual beings. But it all essentially falls back on energy. You know what I'm saying? So Dr. Monroe says, you know, this deity created a energy form, the matrix, in pretty much words, formed the matrix, just like the movie, the Matrix, the first movie, the Matrix, how humans were being harvested for their energy. Pretty much the same thing what Dr. Monroe says right here. Talks about. So as we feed off animals, other higher beings feed off us. And the cycle continues and it continues. Maybe there are beings that feed off them, you know. You know, so, and I just came to that conclusion just by observing nature. You know what I'm saying? I didn't I didn't just heed to what Dr. Monroe, what is his experience. I didn't just believe in his experience and believe in what he said. I just observed nature as nature is, and I came to that conclusion myself. And Dr. Monroe just validates what I've came to the conclusion of myself. So I feel that's the truth. You know. And then I wondered, I said, why haven't because I know a little bit about the Hinduism, Buddhism, the Vedas, and I never heard any of these spiritual doctrines talk about a higher energy feeding off us, off our energy. I never heard any spiritual, and I studied a lot of different spiritual doctrines over the years, and I've never heard that concept that we are being fed, that our energy is feeding the gods. Never heard that concept. Never. From any doctrine, from any religion. So I typed in ChatGPT. I said, does any spirituality speaks about we are being harvested for our energy? And I was surprised that, yes, certain spiritual and esoteric traditions do speak about the idea that human energy is being harvested by external forces, although these concepts vary significantly depending on the belief system. Here are some examples from different spiritual philosophies. Gnosticism. Oh my God, I'm brutalizing this word. Gnosticism. Okay? And Gnostic beliefs. Now, I've heard of Gnostic before. I've heard that these people wrote the Bible. So, in Gnostic beliefs, the material world is seen as a prison. And that's another thing. I used to always think the world feels like a prison. Look at the colors. Even the colors are dull, like a prison. Like the colors dull in a prison. You know, I always thought that. I used to tell my coworkers, man, don't it feel like the world a prison? You know, it feel like the world a prison to me. And, you know, some people didn't feel what I was saying. They didn't. Oh, it's just how you see it. It's just how you. But I feel like the world. I just feel like the world was a prison. I used to always feel that way, and I can't believe that this is what they're saying. The world is seen as a prison. So I'm validated right here. Created by malevolent deity, malevolent meaning evil, deity known as the Demerge. Now, like I said, evil is subject to your perception. Evil could be negative, and that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It's a negative form of energy. And I'm not judging the negative form of energy, because you need the negative and you need the positive to create. I mean, the consciousness is made up, the universal consciousness is made up of the negative energy and the positive energy. You can't have one without the other. You know, this is who we are. So I don't necessarily see it as bad, but just necessary. Even though we may suffer, it's part of the nature of energy. Chaos is energy. There's chaos in energy, so that's part of who we are. So, like, let's say this again. So, in Gnostic beliefs, the material world is seen as a prison created by a malevolent deity known as the Demerge. Evil deity, negative deity, negative God, negative force, negative energy, known as the Demerge. What is a Demerge? I'm going to look that up. The Demerge is a divine figure who creates and maintains the physical world, the Matrix. The term originates from ancient Greece, where it was used to describe a craftsman, artisan, or public official. Some people would call him the Brahma. In Hinduism, they call the Demerge Brahma. The word Demerge comes from the Greek word demadrius, which means artisan, or public worker. In ancient Greece, the term was used to describe a variety of craftspeople, including artisans, doctors, and soothsayers. Divine. So this is like who we believe God is. He created the world. In the Bible, this is who we would call God. You know. According to, and then, so I looked up Gnosticism. Gnosticism. Boy, this is a hard word. To see how old it was. And Gnosticism says was a religious and philosophical movement that flourished in the 1st and 2nd centuries. So this is pretty old. The origins of Gnosticism are difficult to pinpoint, but it may have been influenced by ideas from the 1st and 2nd centuries. So this was this before Christ? Let me see. Some teachings of Gnosticism may have existed before Christianity, but the exact origins of I hate this word. But the exact origins of Gnosticism are unknown. Some scholars believe that some scholars believe that Gnosticism began in the late 1st century AD and non-rabbinical Jewish sects. Others believe that the Gnosticism may have developed in heterodox Jewish circles and was later adopted by Christians. Still others believe that Gnosticism began as a Christian heresy. Gnostics were among the first to adopt Christianity when it reached the Hellenistic world, but they interpreted it into their own philosophy. Christian writers from the 2nd through the 4th century condemned certain teachings as Gnostic. This helped to classify essential beliefs of Christianity. Didn't they write the Bible? Let's see. G-N-O. Let's see. No, okay, they did not write the Bible, but they did produce their own gospels. Gnosticism was a religious movement that existed alongside Christianity in the first. Oh, the Essenes wrote the Bible in the first few centuries of the Christian era. Okay. Gnostics were Christians who held different views about the nature of Christ and his teachings. Oh, okay. Gnostics used allegory and metaphor to create their own gospels. The Gnostic gospels are considered apocryphal, meaning they are not authentically apostolic. Gnostic gospels are not considered reliable sources of life for the life and teachings of Jesus. Okay. The Gnostic Gospels were discovered in Nag Hammadi, Egypt, and include poems, myths, and secret gospels. The Gospel of Thomas is the most well-known Gnostic gospel. Look up the Gospel of Thomas, y'all. Okay. So, according to Gnostic, the Demiurge trapped souls in physical bodies and feeds on their spiritual energy. Same thing that Robert Monroe said, but these people were saying this long before Robert Monroe. And Robert Monroe only saying what he said because a spiritual deity told him that. Well, a spiritual entity told him that when he was in his astral travels. And I know, and I believe it. I believe in my heart this is true, because if you just study the nature of reality, you will see that this is true. If you're a thinker, according to Gnosticism, the Demurge traps souls in physical bodies and feeds on their spiritual energy by keeping them ignorant of their true divine nature. Human suffering, ignorance, and attachment to the material world are thought to generate the energy that sustains this false reality, the matrix. Gnostics believe that by attaining gnosis, spiritual knowledge, just going inside yourself, individuals could awaken to their true divine essence and escape the energy draining influence of the Demurge. Powerful. So all he pretty much saying is, what I'm doing, do like what I'm doing. Just think about life. A lot of people can't think. If you on this video, you one of those ones like me that can think outside the box, that can see the true reality of nature, of this world, and you'll be on your way to spiritual freedom, salvation. As it says right here, we awaken. This is called spiritual enlightenment. Individuals could awaken to their true divine essence. Individuals could awaken to their godhood. We are gods. We are supermen. We are immortal. Yes. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed, and transferred into a different form. So we are energy. Individuals could awaken to their true divine essence and escape the energy draining influence of the Demurge. Robert Monroe's, we already talked about this. Robert Monroe, an out-of-body experience researcher, described in his book Far Journeys the idea of LOOSH, a form of energy generated by humans and other living beings which is harvested by higher dimensional entities. According to Monroe, both positive and negative emotions create LOOSH, which is harvested for substance by these entities. Monroe's ideas suggest that Earth is a LOOSH form, energy form, where human experiences the matrix pretty much. Particular intense emotions generate valuable energy for these non-physical beings. And people will look at that and say, oh, they evil. But I don't really necessarily see it as evil. I see it. I see it as just positive. You got chaotic energy and you got calm energy. And the beings, so we get out of the energy. We see that we got consciousness in this world, and consciousness is directing energy to create, right? Just like we as beings create right now, as God created this world. So we have the power to create. And pretty much these beings have created a game. And a game of a world that feeds, is like a garden. They're eating us, feeding off this world, off of everything in this world. They get energy by feeding off us. But what are they doing with the energy that they feed off us? What are they doing with that energy? they have to create balance. You know, that they're only doing what their nature of energy tells them to do to survive. You know, so it's like we all are slaves to energy. You know, energy is gonna do what energy do. And this right here, this is I also looked up energy. How does energy interact? How does energy operate? You know what I'm saying? So it says in many systems, energy tends to move toward equilibrium, balance. Higher energy systems will transfer energy to lower energy systems until a balance is achieved. This results in energy absorption as part of nature's way to maintain stability and minimize energy imbalances. So pretty much all this God is doing as he takes energy, he's dispersing energy. These gods, they take energy from us, but they're dispersing energy somewhere else for balance. Everything has, if we are energy, we have to be balanced until a balance is achieved. The results in energy absorption as part of nature's way to maintain stability and minimize energy imbalances. Another, force interactions and field absorption. Energy absorption can also occur due to interaction between fields and matter. For example, when a charged particle moves through a magnetic field, it can absorb, or that's the law of conservation of energy. The law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed or transferred from one form to another. When energy appears to absorb other energy, is often the result of this transformation or transfer. So we can think that what this God is doing is selfish, evil. We can think he's creating a garden to feed off our energy, so that's just like cow. So cows can think, if cows are conscious, they can think we're evil because we're eating them. Are we evil? Is your child evil for eating a cow? Are the farmers evil? You know what I'm saying? When we eat plants, do the plants think we evil? We grow plants, we grow fruits and vegetables. Everything is energy. Now, if the fruits and vegetables were conscious, would they think we're evil? They probably would. They probably would think we was evil for eating them, cutting them off their trees and consuming them. But it's really just part of nature. It's really just part of the nature of energy. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily meaning that they're evil or we're evil, just like this higher God that's eating us, eating our energy. I don't necessarily think it's evil. It just has to survive like we have to survive. Lions are not evil for eating zebras. Zebras might think they're evil, but when you observe nature, when you observe the lions just trying to survive. And those grass may think zebras are evil because zebras are eating the grass, but the zebra is just trying to survive. It's the nature of energy. So I don't want to judge these higher forms of God, these higher entities, other dimensional entities that's feeding off our energy. As Dr. Monroe states, described as LOOSH, a type of emotional. Okay, I already read that. We're both positive and negative emotions generate LOOSH. According to Monroe's theory, intense emotions whether they are from joy, love, happiness, fear, or pain, suffering, are the primary sources of LOOSH. Hold on, let me go back down here. Okay, so like I was wondering, like why, like I said, I've never heard of spiritual doctrines talk about this type of thing. They never talked about higher entities or gods feeding off our energy. So Gnosticism always said, yeah, we always talked about that. This evil ass God, man, trapping us down here on earth and feeding off us, man. Dr. Monroe talked about, okay. Theosophy. Okay, let's read what Theosophy says. In theosophical teachings, there are references to astral parasites or elementals that feed off the energy of human emotions. Now, I didn't know that. These entities are thought to dwell in the lower astral planes and are attracted to humans who express negative emotions such as fear, anger, or despair. Theosophists believe that by engaging in spiritual purification and higher consciousness practices, individuals can avoid being affected by such entities and can preserve their vital energy. Now, do you ever notice when you're angry or when you're always depressed, always angry? Well, I don't know if you ever noticed that, but when people are depressed, let me speak for myself. When I'm depressed, confused, I don't have energy. You don't have a passion for life. You don't have the energy to go and do something great when you're depressed. When you're angry, you don't have enthusiasm to do something fun and happy. So this form of energy is being eaten up by the higher beings, and they're draining you. They're draining us. That's why you don't feel like doing anything, because you're drained. But you ever notice when you're happy, when you're positive, when you're loving and kind, you have a lot more energy? And even if they do absorb your happy energy, they don't absorb all of it, because when you're happy and when you're excited, you have a lot of energy to do a lot of things. When you're excited about life, it's only when you're down about life you don't have no energy. But when you're excited about life, you do great things. You give off positive emotions. You give off positive energy. So it seems like positive energy keeps you energized, no matter if they sucking in the positive energy away from you or not. They don't suck enough, because you stay strong and you stay positive through it all. But Theosophy states that the higher beings only feed off the fear, the angry emotions. Okay. Esoteric mysticism and occultism. In occult traditions and esoteric mysticism, there is often a belief in psychic vampires. Yep, I used to work with one of those. This guy would come around, supervisor. He would come around and talk to you about 3 or 4 hours and gets drained the fuck out you, man. We used to do, well, we did security. And this man would come around us. Well, he'd come to your station where you was at and talk to you for 3 or 4 hours, bro. It was crazy. He had that much energy to talk that long. And I always consider him like a vampire, draining your energy. You know, there is often in occult traditions, and he didn't, and it wasn't like he had a deeply attachment, a deep emotional attachment to you. No, this man hardly knew any of us, and would come around and talk 3 or 4 hours, and he'd be doing most of the talking. You'd be doing most of the listening, and he'd be talking about far way out stuff that nobody really grasped or agreed with for real. But he seemed like a psychic vampire. In occult traditions and esoteric mysticism, there is often a belief in psychic vampires or parasitic entities that drain the energy of living beings. These entities are sometimes described as astral beings, spirits, or even humans with psychic abilities who feed on the life force or emotional energy of others. That's crazy. That's crazy. Some forms of black magic or dark occult practices are said to involve energy manipulation. Where practitioners intentionally draw energy from others for personal gain or power. That's sick. Carlos Castaneda's teachings, the Flyers. I read something about him. In the works of Carlos Castaneda, particularly in his book, The Active Side of Infinity, he writes about energetic entities called flyers, which feed on the awareness and consciousness of human beings. According to Castaneda's mentor, Don Juan Matus, these entities gave us their mind, creating a limited perception of reality. I always said, I'm limited. I'm conscious, but I'm limited in my consciousness. Creating a limited perception of reality and feeding off the energy produced by human thoughts and emotions. The flyers are said to manipulate human behavior and keep people trapped in repetitive, destructive patterns feeding on their fear and worry. Hinduism and Vedic texts. Wow, now this is what I was wanting to know about the Vedas, because I look into the Vedas a lot, and I always inquire about Vedas because I respect the Vedas very much. They're the only ones that talk about flying UFOs, way back in the way back in the historic times. They talk about flying UFOs like a Star Wars movie. So I respect the Vedas very much. Hinduism and Vedic texts. While Hinduism does not explicitly describe the concept of humans being harvested for energy, it does speak about prana, the vital life force that animates all living beings. In certain interpretations of Tantra and Yoga, it is said that certain beings or forces can manipulate or draw from a person's prana if they are spiritually unaware or weak. Negative entities or lower spirits in Hindu cosmology are sometimes thought to feed on negative emotional energy or attach themselves to those who are spiritually compromised. Protecting one's prana, energy, and spiritual purity through meditation, yoga, and chanting is thought to guard against such energy drain. It's really scary, y'all, when you think about it. how a spiritual being could be draining your energy. Matrix-like concepts in modern spirituality and modern spiritual interpretations influenced by the ideas like the Matrix. Some spiritual thinkers suggest that humans are being kept in a false reality where their life force or emotional energy is siphoned off by higher powers. The thing is, man, the movie The Matrix is a very new concept. Well, Matrix came out around 1997 and 98, around that time. But these concepts that the Matrix movie talk about is ancient. And a lot of people never heard about these concepts until watching the Matrix movie. You know what I'm saying? So the Matrix movie is the truth. It's the truth. If you search deep within yourself, you will find the truth. Several spiritual, mystical, and esoteric traditions explore the idea that human energy is being harvested or influenced by external entities, often for their own substance or control. Form of Gnosticism emerged, feeding off humanity's ignorance, to Robert Monroe's LOOSH theory, and that's what it's all about: ignorance. Ignorance. They took a lot of books out of the Bible, and I was okay. So the word Gnosticism comes from the Greek, which means Gnosticism was a major part of early Christianity, but was later persecuted by other Christians. See, it was a major part of early Christianity. Gnosticism was based on the idea that spiritual freedom, salvation, came from discovering and developing secret inner knowledge. Not from a book, not from what somebody told you, but from your own self, from within you. The gospel, what it says, what Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, I think, the kingdom of heaven is within you, secret inner knowledge. Gnosticism was influenced by Jewish apocalyptic writings, Platonic philosophy, and the Hebrew scriptures. Gnosticism declined after the pro-Orthodox Church condemned it as heresy. Many Gnostic writings were destroyed by non-Gnostic Christians. And I believe that's why the Bible normally, a lot of the books that they wrote, that they took out the Bible, I believe those books, they took them out because they were Gnostic in nature. And they didn't want them in a book. They didn't want them in the Bible. Because the Bible a lot of times don't make sense at all. Because what the Bible teaches you, it tells you, Jesus died for you. Okay, if he died for us, why are we still in the Matrix? Why is our energy still being sucked dry? You know what I'm saying? Died for us to do, what did that benefit us? He died for us. A lot of these churches preach that. A lot of these preachers preach that. Die for our sins. What does that mean, bro? Die for our sins. It don't mean nothing. We still sinning. It's so vague. It's so confusing. Like I said, they took a lot of scriptures out the Bible. That's why it's so confusing. And I think spiritual beings took those scriptures out to keep us ignorant. Because it's only through it's only from really to get yourself out of this trap of reincarnation, you have to be spiritually aware. You know, that's what it tells you. You have to be like spiritually aware to get out this trap. See, keeping them ignorant of their true divine nature, humans, sir. So if you stay ignorant, you're gonna keep reincarnating. You only escape the cycle of birth and rebirth is becoming consciously aware of what's going on. Gnostics believe that by attaining Gnostic spiritual knowledge, individuals could awaken to their true divine essence and escape the energy draining influence of the Demiurge, and escape the matrix, and escape the prison. Once you know you're in a prison, you want to get out the prison. You know, a lot of us, we go to work, we live every day, we don't even know we're in a prison. You know, but once you wake up to the fact that you're in a prison, you escape the prison, or you try to escape it, or you find a way to escape it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to find a way to escape this prison as I just do more and more research. I want to find a way to escape, you know, the Demiurge, you know, escape these beings from feeding on my energy, and go to the next level of consciousness, because that's what it's really about. It's really about, because like I said, we are all limited. Our consciousness is all limited. There's levels of consciousness, and I want to go to the next level of consciousness, because my consciousness is very limited, you know. And I feel its limitation. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about right now. That's it for me. Peace.